Hi class, you are going to watch the following videos and go through the following PowerPoint. As you are doing this, you are going to be required to be taking notes. So in your notes, you should be able to define health, and you should be able to define each area of health being physical, social, emotional, and intellectual. Please provide an example in your notes of each area of health. And then we are going to describe the wellness wheel. And with describing the wellness wheel, you are going to give an example of how a positive or a negative decision is going to affect all 4 areas of health. In this slide, you are going to be able to define what health is. Health is a complete physical, social, emotional, and intellectual well-being. So realize that I think most of you think when you think of health, you think of the physical aspects, cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, but realize that there is a social, emotional, and intellectual aspect to make up a complete overall health. The first area of health that we're going to evaluate is physical health. Physical health is a condition of the body. So a lot of things obviously go into maintaining that physical health. Physical activity, getting 60 minutes a day, that's very important to your physical health. Nutrition and diet, making sure that you eat a well-balanced diet that contains carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. Obviously, avoiding harmful substances such as alcohol and drugs. Addressing any medical concerns, so any illnesses, any injuries, or anything that might cause pain, making sure that we take care of those elements and we address them properly. And then rest is very important, making sure that we get adequate rest and relaxation so that our body can be productive for the following day. When we think about physical health, okay, that's probably the main thing we think about when we think about defining health. So if you are to take a behavior such as smoking, obviously smoking is going to have a negative impact on the condition of our body. Smoking cigarettes can cause heart disease and lung cancer. When you think about exercise, like we just talked about, physical activity, we need 60 minutes or more a day. With physical activity, that has a positive impact. It improves our flexibility, our cardiovascular endurance, and muscular strength. So those are just some examples of how physical health has a negative, can negatively be impacted or positively be impacted. Okay, so the next area of health we're going to evaluate is social health. This is the quality of the relationships we have. It's developing those interpersonal relationships, and it's also being able to adapt comfortably to different social situations. A couple things to keep in mind when you're developing these social relationships, and I think this is really important at the age group that you all are, is to make sure that you have a sense of identity. What's important to you? What are your goals that you're trying to accomplish? And also, what are your interests? And finding friends that have those similar interests and goals and ethics. Also, having a sense of self-esteem. So having a high level of self-confidence and self-esteem, positive self-image. And then finally, being able to put in developing those relationships time and effort. The number one skill that needed to develop these relationships is communication. It's very important that you keep an open line of communication in a friendship or in a different type of relationship. So, an example I've used here is obviously a negative habit, which would be smoking, but they are trying to turn that negative habit into a healthy habit. So, with communication, if a family member or friend was trying to quit, they're going to experience withdrawal symptoms such as mood swings, irritability. If they don't communicate that they're trying to achieve this goal, not only will they not have a support system in being successful at achieving this goal, but it will also have a negative impact on your relationship because you're not understanding why they are acting or behaving in a certain way. So communication is really, really important in order to sustain positive relationship management skills. The next area of health we are going to evaluate is emotional health. This also could be your overall psychological well-being. As you can see, many factors go into defining what emotional health is. The first we have is managing stress. Okay. It's also how we identify emotions and express emotions. It is also the way you feel about yourself, having adequate self-respect and self-confidence for yourself. And finally, it is also about how you manage feelings and deal with difficult situations. I list an example here as trying to quit smoking. Oftentimes, people with substance abuse choose to use those substances to deal with stress. That's their unhealthy way of managing stress. So here, obviously, an example would be trying to quit smoking, turning this into a positive habit. So finding an alternative way to deal with stress. Some stress management techniques could be meditation, some relaxation methods, and it could also be exercise, whether it's yoga, or just walking the dog, but finding a creative way to manage stress that will work for them in their daily lives. Okay, the next area of health is intellectual health. This is one of the hardest areas of health to understand for 7th grade health. Intellectual health is defined as our ability to challenge ourselves, make good decisions, be open to constructive criticism, question and open to new ideas. Some signs of intellectual health, positive intellectual health, would be development of good study skills and time management skills. It would be developing positive problem-solving skills as well as evolving into a critical thinker. Would be your ability to challenge an issue and see all sides of an issue. And it would also be able to develop your own opinion. For instance, here I have an example of trying to quit smoking. If your goal was to try and quit smoking, those good decision-making skills. So making sure that you don't have accessibility to tobacco products in your house, that would make this decision harder to make and make this goal harder to achieve. Also, for instance, if you had a huge exam the next day, there's a huge football game that evening, you would have to make a choice. Do I attend the football game and probably do poorly on my exam? Or do I decline the invitation and choose to study in order to receive a good grade for the semester? So those would be some examples of how to use intellectual health and how those habits would affect our overall intellectual health. Okay, so next we're going to describe a wellness wheel. We are going to be using a wellness wheel to demonstrate how any type of behavior or decision has a positive or negative impact on every aspect of your health. So realize that if our behavior or decision was to use drugs, realize that not only will it have a negative impact on our emotional health, but it also will have a negative impact on our intellectual, physical, and social health. So let's talk about, you're going to have an opportunity to choose a behavior, and you're going to have to apply that behavior to the wellness wheel. So our wellness wheel is going to look like a circle, okay? You are going to have physical, you are going to have intellectual, you're going to have social, you're going to have emotional health, and then you're going to have a positive sign and a negative sign to exhibit whether it's a positive or negative impact on your wheel. Now realize that when a wheel has a positive impact, okay, it's going to continue to roll smoothly. When you choose a negative impact, such as using drugs, you're going to realize that you're going to get a flat tire and your wheel is no longer able to roll. So that's how we use our wellness wheel. Negative decisions are going to impact our wheel. They're going to make our wheel flat, and we will not be able to, it won't be able to work effectively. If we make a positive choice like eating breakfast, all areas of health are balanced. They have a positive impact, so our wheel is going to continue to work successfully, and we can get from point A to point B. Okay, here's my wellness wheel. I chose to use the example of eating breakfast. Here we have a positive habit. I'm going to demonstrate and talk a little bit about how it is going to affect every aspect of health in my wellness wheel. Obviously, it's going to have a positive impact, so my wellness wheel is going to stay whole, and it's going to continue moving and working properly. So eating breakfast physically affects me by, it gives me energy throughout the day. so I won't feel fatigued. It allows me to speed up my metabolism, which will help with weight loss. It helps protect against specific diseases such as type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. It also can help protect against specific illnesses. Socially, your brain will trigger fatigue, irritability. It will also, your diet helps control your mood. So when I don't eat, I become irritable, cranky, miserable. So that will have a negative impact with my friends and family. When I am feeling like I have energy, my mood is automatically improved. So now I have better relationships with friends and family. Emotionally, my diet affects my response to stress. So I'll be able to handle stress better. I'll have the energy and the concentration to focus on what I need to do or develop in order to cope with a specific stressor of the day. Intellectually, it's going to allow for better concentrations, which will help, and better focus will allow for better grades in school. So with that improved concentration, you will see improved grades. Also, increased problem-solving abilities. Increased critical thinking. So here is how a simple behavior such as eating breakfast can affect every aspect of your health. Notice it just doesn't physically affect the condition of our body, but it has a social, emotional, and intellectual impact.
It's already there, so it's recording right now. Okay, it didn't record any of the stuff you did before that.
Okay.
And then you can draw like an arrow or like a symbol or another arrow, and they'll record and they'll see that. So you know what I'm saying? So like set it up before you record. So